Breaking news this morning out of the NFL. Miami Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa is out for Sunday's game against the Raiders. Coach Brian Flores made that announcement earlier today. Tua suffered fractured ribs in last week's blowout loss to the Bills. Flores said that Tua will be handled day to day, but that there's a lot of pain, adding, quote, he wants to play. He's actually trying to play. We're going to save him from himself on this. Jacoby Brissette will get the start on Sunday. Here's a look at the injury history for Tua Tagovailoa, which includes, of course, his time in Tuscaloosa with the Alabama Crimson Tide, left and right ankle and hip surgery in his time in college, and then in the NFL suffering a thumb injury which forced him to miss a game last season, and now with the fractured ribs after the Bills loss at home. All right, let's get some more now from Jonathan Jones, our senior NFL writer on the breaking news. Your thoughts here. What more can you tell us, JJ?
Yeah, the Dolphins were hopeful after the first x-rays didn't show any obvious breaks, and now, of course, coming back after further imaging that there are fractured ribs. Tua very surely still in pain. And, the Dolphins are optimistic right now, and I think that's evidenced by the fact that they're not yet placing Tua on IR. And, of course, he could come back from that short-term IR after 3 weeks. Right now, they're thinking day-to-day, but very clearly would not be ready to go on Sunday. So what we can sort of surmise from what Brian Flores has told us and the actions of the Miami Dolphins is they are cautiously optimistic that he would be able to return in week 4 or at least by week 5. That's why they will not yet put him on the injured reserve. Again, short-term IR, being gone for at least 3 weeks. They're going to probably see how that pain is throughout this week and then sort of reassess early to mid next week to see if he can begin throwing with manageable pain. Obviously, with fractured ribs, there's going to be pain, so it has to be manageable pain. And so they are going to go forward with backup Jacoby Brissette. We know him, of course, from his New England Patriot days and more recently with the Indianapolis Colts being the starter there just a couple of years ago. Now he gets the entire week to work with the ones and sort of establish that rapport with the first-string offense for what would probably be his first time and first chance there with the Miami Dolphins.
So we're taking a look at Jacoby Brissette's stats from that Week 2 game at the Bills, which none of it was pretty from a Miami perspective. They are on the road at Vegas, so that is against them in terms of the preparation for Jacoby Brissette. And you mentioned it there, the plan with Tua Tagovailoa. How much confidence do they have in Brissette in doing everything that they would like to do on the offensive side of the ball?
Well, surely they have enough confidence in Jacoby Brissette, or else, they know about Tua's injury history. We flashed the graphic up just a little bit ago. This isn't a guy who has a clean bill of health and always has his entire career. And so as the Miami Dolphins, decided not to go with Ryan Fitzpatrick and not pay him, and as he went along to the Washington football team, they had to, of course, plan for this contingency, that Tua would eventually get hurt. And what happens then? And so they go with Jacoby Brissette, a guy who has started any number of games in the NFL. Not a fantastic starter, but can sort of get you through in a pinch. Unfortunately for Jacoby Brissette, the Miami Dolphins offensive line was a train wreck last week against the Buffalo Bills, and they allowed pressure after pressure after pressure. And everyone got in on it. Matt Milano and A.J. Epineza, Gregory Rousseau, even more from others within the Buffalo Bills front seven. And so now they're facing a Vegas Raiders team that has really improved in any number of categories along the defensive front and really the entire defense, an issue that the Raiders had faced really since the Super Bowl that they went to nearly 2 decades ago. It seems that they have turned a corner with their scheme and with their personnel, and Max Crosby is playing about as well as any other edge rusher in the entire NFL right now. And so that's something that the Miami Dolphins are going to have to work with. Jacoby Brissette would do himself well to get rid of the football very quickly. And so it's going to be a challenge against this Raiders defense that through 2 games looks like they're starting to turn a corner. But at least, again, if you're looking for optimism, Dolphins fans, at least Brissette now has some game time with these guys. It didn't turn out well, no question about it, but he has game time with them, and he's getting a full week of practice with the ones heading into this matchup against the Raiders.
Before I let you go, again, Raiders, Colts, Bucs. Those are the next 3 games here for the Dolphins. They're 1-1 heading into this Week 3 game. JJ, what, if anything, does this change your mind about where the Dolphins are in the division? In terms of the odds makers, they were right there with New England, second behind Buffalo for the AFC East.
Yeah, it changes it a little bit based off, it's hard to really project how long Tua is going to be out. Again, they are optimistic that he won't have to miss 3 games. That's why he's not going on the short-term IR. That optimism can change in just a couple of days. If Tua's ribs are still hurting, he's not able to throw with manageable pain, and so we're going to see just how good they feel about Tua after we get through this week. And so that could sort of change things. In terms of the next 3 opponents that you mentioned, I thought and still think that the Raiders are a fantastic team. They're surprising a lot of people at 2-0. I would have had this as a Raiders win anyway. We know that the Colts are struggling there at quarterback with Carson Wentz, still waiting to find out more injury news on Carson Wentz and his 2 injured ankles from a really sort of carnage Sunday in week 2 among NFL quarterbacks. And then you mentioned the Bucs. That was always going to be a very difficult game. So, I would have the Miami Dolphins right now slotted 3rd. If Vegas has them tied with the Patriots, the way Mac Jones has been playing, I would give the edge to the Patriots because Damian Harris doesn't fumble that ball, and you give the Patriots the edge anyway, and certainly behind the Bills, I think that they are appropriately ranked. So I would have it Bills, Patriots, and then the Dolphins 1, 2, 3.
Johnny Jones with the very latest on the breaking news. JJ, certainly appreciate it, as always, with the very latest there on Tua Tagovailoa missing out at least this week with fractured ribs. As you take a look at the game preview for Dolphins and Raiders, interesting to note, Caesar Sportsbook for the moment has taken the game off the board. As of this morning, it was Miami getting 3.5 points. If you did the look-ahead line, it was Miami getting a single point, so already perhaps the Jacoby Brissette factor there. It'll be interesting to see if that line changes with more Vegas money coming up. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, the fantasy aspect of this with Dave Richard on the other side.
Want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.